Don't buy KFC in Canada. Until you watch this, this bucket is in your hands right now, and what's inside is not what you think. Chicken pieces cut in half, thighs shrunk down, portions that look nothing like what they serve across the border. For decades, KFC has been treated like comfort food you could trust. But the KFC Canadians are eating today is not the same chain that built its reputation. We investigated why chicken pieces keep getting smaller in Canada. We compared portions between US and Canadian locations. And we exposed the franchise cost-cutting strategy that's quietly changing what you're served. What we found is disturbing. This isn't just about fried chicken. It's about corporate cutbacks destroying the value Canadians pay for. And we're not hating on KFC. We're helping you understand what's actually happening. These are the uncomfortable truths Canadians need to know about KFC. Let's dive in. But don't leave yet, because we'll show you exactly what to watch for and how to get your money's worth. More than just fast food, it's the go-to when you need something filling, affordable, and consistent. But here's what most Canadians don't know. The KFC you grew up with is changing. The generous portions that made buckets feel worth it. The whole chicken pieces that actually filled you up. The consistency you could count on from location to location. Replaced by smaller birds, cut pieces, and franchise owners making decisions based on profit margins, not customer satisfaction. In this investigation, we'll expose the shrinking portion problem sweeping Ontario and beyond. How franchise cost-cutting is creating a two-tier system. What Americans get versus what Canadians get for the same price. And why inconsistency between locations has become the new normal. Here's what triggered this investigation. A viewer from Ontario sent us this message. Quote, KFC in my area cuts chicken pieces in half, small thighs, small ribs, sometimes large pieces literally split in two. I looked up KFC in the US and the pieces are way bigger. Even Google Images confirm it. End quote. This isn't one angry customer. We found hundreds of similar complaints across Ontario, Alberta, and British Columbia. Customers reporting thighs and breasts cut down the middle. Smaller whole pieces than they remember. Buckets that feel noticeably lighter. Huge size differences between one location and another just blocks away. One person said they ordered an 8-piece bucket and got what looked like 16 half pieces. Another said the chicken looked like it came from baby birds. Others posted side-by-side photos comparing their Canadian bucket to photos from American KFC locations. The difference was undeniable. Bigger pieces, meatier cuts, more value. And here's the critical question. How is this allowed in a national franchise? You see the same logo. You pay similar prices. You expect the same product. But what you're getting depends entirely on which franchise owner runs your local KFC. That's not consistency. That's a lottery. And Canadians are losing. To understand why this is happening, you need to understand how KFC Canada operates. KFC runs on a franchise system. That means individual owners pay for the right to use the KFC brand. They get the logo, the menu, the supply chain access. But here's what they control. Portioning decisions. How chicken is cut and prepared. Staffing levels. Training quality. Day-to-day cost management. Corporate KFC provides branding, marketing, suppliers, and standards on paper. But enforcement? That's where things fall apart. When food costs rise, when rent increases, when labor gets expensive, franchise owners feel the squeeze. They need to protect their margins. And pressure creates shortcuts. Here's how it works. A franchise owner gets their chicken shipment. They can choose smaller birds to save money. They can train staff to cut larger pieces in half to stretch inventory. They can reduce portion sizes slightly, knowing most customers won't complain. They'll just feel vaguely disappointed and maybe not come back as often. But by then, the franchise has already saved thousands on food costs. This isn't illegal. There's no law against serving smaller chicken, but it breaks the fundamental promise of a franchise brand. Same name, same price, same product everywhere. When that promise breaks, trust collapses. And right now, across Canada, that trust is quietly collapsing. Let's talk about what's really happening behind the counter. Cutting a chicken breast in half is a powerful cost-saving move. Visually, it doubles your inventory. One breast becomes 2 pieces. One thigh becomes 2 smaller portions. Suddenly, your 8-piece bucket looks like a 10 or 12-piece bucket. Same chicken, more pieces, Lower food cost per bucket. Smaller birds cost significantly less. A smaller chicken weighs less, costs less, and when cut properly, can fill a bucket that looks full enough. Most customers don't bring a scale. They don't measure. They just notice that something feels off. But they don't complain. They just stop coming back as often. This strategy also hides shrinkflation. Shrinkflation is when companies reduce product size but keep prices the same. You've seen it in chocolate bars, chip bags, cereal boxes. Now it's happening with your fried chicken. Same bucket, same price, less actual food. And because each piece is individually irregular, you can't easily prove it. It just feels like bad luck. Franchise owners aren't villains. They're business people under pressure. Rising costs, tight margins, corporate fees. Cutting portions protects their bottom line. But here's the problem. When every franchise makes independent decisions, you get chaos. One location serves decent portions. Another serves scraps. The brand becomes meaningless. Here's where it gets really frustrating. In the United States, KFC generally serves larger chicken pieces. We're not talking about a small difference. We're talking noticeably bigger breasts, meatier thighs, heavier drumsticks. Why? Different supply chains. American KFC locations often source from suppliers that raise larger birds. The U.S. poultry industry operates at a different scale with different standards, different consumer expectations. Americans have a reputation for wanting bigger portions. Complaints about small sizes get louder, faster. Franchise owners respond accordingly. Different pricing strategies. In some U.S. markets, KFC prices are actually lower than in Canada, but portions are bigger. Canadians pay similar or higher prices but receive less food. Let's be clear. This isn't a conspiracy. It's basic business strategy. Companies serve what markets tolerate. Canadian customers have historically been less vocal about portion sizes. We complain quietly, online, in reviews. We just stop going. But we don't make enough noise for corporate to force change. So the cuts continue. Same brand, same bucket design, same menu names. Completely different value depending on which side of the border you're on. That's not inflation. That's a deliberate choice to give Canadians less while charging them the same. Here's what makes this even worse. You can't even trust KFC locations within the same city. One location gives you reasonably sized pieces. Decent value. You leave satisfied. Drive 10 minutes to another KFC. Same order. Completely different experience. Tiny pieces. Obvious cut marks. Bucket feels half empty. You check the receipt. Same price. KFC, it's chaos. Some franchise owners maintain standards. They care about repeat customers, reputation, long-term success. Others cut every corner possible. Cheapest chicken. Maximum portioning tricks. Minimal training. High turnover. Stressed staff. Dirty kitchens. And you, the customer, have no way of knowing which type of location you're walking into until after you've paid. Reviews help, but they're inconsistent. One person's acceptable is another person's unacceptable. Location quality can change when ownership changes, or when a decent manager quits and gets replaced by someone who doesn't care. The result? Canadians are turning KFC into a gamble. Maybe you get a good bucket. Maybe you get ripped off. Roll the dice. And that's not how a national franchise should operate. Consistency is supposed to be the whole point. McDonald's fries taste the same everywhere. Tim Hortons coffee, for all its problems, is at least consistently mediocre. Some people might say, it's just fried chicken, who cares? Here's why you should care. This is about honesty. When you pay for a bucket of chicken, you're entering an implied contract. You pay money. They give you food. The value should match the price. When portion sizes shrink, when quality drops, when pieces are cut in half to fake quantity, that contract is broken. This is about trust. Franchise brands exist because of trust. You trust that a Big Mac tastes the same in Vancouver and Halifax. You trust that Starbucks Grande is the same size everywhere. You trust the brand. When KFC allows massive inconsistency and portion cuts without transparency, they're eroding that trust. And once trust is gone, the brand collapses. This is about value. Canadians work hard for their money. A family bucket isn't cheap anymore. $15, $20, $25 depending on the deal. That's real money. When you're getting visibly less food than Americans get for the same price, you're being ripped off. Not aggressively, quietly, but it's still a ripoff. And this is about what we normalize. If we accept smaller portions without complaint, companies learn they can get away with it. Then it spreads. Other chains watch. Oh, Canadians didn't push back when KFC cut portions? Let's try it too. Before you know it, shrinkflation and portion cuts become the norm across the entire industry. So what can you actually do about this? Let's be practical. First, inspect your bucket before you leave. Open it. Look at the pieces. Are they whole chicken parts or obviously cut? Are they tiny? Do they look like baby bird portions? If it looks wrong, politely ask for a refund or replacement. Most locations will fix it if you speak up immediately. Second, compare piece sizes. If you go to KFC semi-regularly, pay attention. Notice which locations give you better value. Reward those locations with repeat business. Avoid the ones that consistently serve tiny portions. Vote with your wallet. Third, speak up politely. Leave honest reviews. Mention specific portion issues. Other customers read reviews. If enough people call out a location for small portions, it affects their business. Franchise owners notice. Fourth, consider local alternatives. Many Canadian cities now have local fried chicken spots. Korean fried chicken, Nashville hot chicken, independent takeout places. Often better quality, similar prices, and they actually care about keeping you as a customer because they don't have a corporate safety net. Fifth, reduce frequency. You don't have to boycott KFC entirely, but stop making it a weekly habit. Treat it like the inconsistent gamble it's become. Occasional convenience option, not default dinner solution. And finally, teach yourself or your family to make fried chicken at home. It's easier than you think. Chicken pieces, buttermilk marinade, seasoned flour, hot oil. 20 minutes. You control the size, you control the quality. You know exactly what you're eating. Here's what every Canadian needs to understand. KFC Canada is not the KFC that earned your loyalty. Portion sizes are shrinking. Franchise owners are cutting costs. Quality is inconsistent. The bucket you buy today might be half the size of what your parents bought 20 years ago, and you're paying more for it after inflation. KFC isn't uniquely evil. They're just doing what every franchise does when oversight slips and margins get tight. Cut costs, reduce portions, hope customers don't notice. But Canadians are noticing. The complaints are piling up. The photos are circulating. The trust is crumbling. You have a choice every time you think about KFC. Convenience versus value. Habit versus quality. Trust versus skepticism. If you do go in with your eyes open. Expect inconsistency. Check your bucket. Speak up when you're shorted. And stop pretending it's the same KFC you remember. It's not. What we found will shock you. Understand that. Accept it. And decide if it's still worth your money. If this is what we found at KFC, what do you think is happening at other Canadian chains? What about the grocery stores selling you shrinking products at higher prices? What about restaurant portion sizes across the board? What about the food being served in schools? We're investigating all of it. This channel exists to uncover the truth about Canada's food industry. We expose what companies don't want you to know, and we release new investigations every single week. Next week, we're looking at something even bigger. A Canadian grocery scandal that'll make this look small. And think twice the next time you pull into that KFC drive-thru. Hit the bell for notifications. Drop a comment if you've noticed smaller KFC portions in your area. Share this video with any Canadians who still think KFC is a good value. And remember, every purchase is a vote. Spend your money where companies actually respect you. Thanks for watching. Stay informed. Stay skeptical.